Get ready to dive in, everyone, because we're about to unpack something pretty fascinating. Our listener sent in this super detailed description of a painting, and honestly, it's got me hooked. We're talking about Szuhodovszky's Daphne. And, what really caught my eye, it's not just about what's in the painting, but all these little details about how it's painted and even why. Like we're getting a glimpse into the mind of the artist himself. So, it's Daphne, right? Classic myth. Woman transforming into a tree. We've all heard that one. But, and here's where it gets weird, she's described as serene. Peaceful, even. Now, last time I checked, Daphne wasn't exactly known for her calm demeanor while, turning into a tree. What's the deal with that?
Now, we're all pretty familiar with the basics here. Apollo, completely smitten with the nymph, Daphne.
At her over heels.
Totally. Sets off in hot pursuit of her. But she wants absolutely none of it.
Right, not interested.
And not one bit. Ultimately, she appeals to her father, the river god Peneus, to help her escape this whole situation. And, well, poof, Daphne transforms, becomes a laurel tree.
Just like that.
Classic myth, right? It's one that often gets interpreted as this cautionary tale about unrequited love, or even just the dangers of, unchecked desire. But what if, and stick with me here, what if we could shift our perspective a bit? View Daphne's story through a different lens. What if there's more to uncover? Because that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating. We're going beyond the typical interpretations of the myth. Could be examining a modern painting that was actually inspired by it.
Oh, wait.
And trust me, it offers a perspective you might not expect at all. And then we're going to connect it to a completely different source. Something I think you'll find really surprising: ancient Gnostic texts. So ready to see Daphne's transformation in a whole new light.
Let's do it.
Let's get started. The artwork we're diving into today is a 2016 piece. It's called The Transformation of Daphne.
By Nicolas Szuhodovszky.
Right, by Nicolas Szuhodovszky. And, instead of showing us that chase scene, this painting, it puts us right at the moment of Daphne's transformation. Yeah, it's incredible. So imagine, right, you're standing in a gallery, taking it all in. Daphne's front and center. Nude, done in that classical style. She's mid-run, graceful. But here's where it gets interesting. Her face, it doesn't show fear. You'd expect that, right?
Yeah.
But instead, there's this sense of serenity. Almost like she's completely at peace of what's happening to her. What do you make of that?
Well, it's definitely a powerful contrast to how Daphne is often portrayed, as a victim. But her serenity in this painting, it kind of flips that whole narrative. Suggests this transformation is something she's choosing, not just enduring. Well, you're looking at Daphne and she's got this light surrounding her, this like almost heavenly golden light, and one arm is reaching upwards, and you can see her fingers, they're already like sprouting these laurel leaves. But her face is at peace. It's almost like she's smiling. It's not that like terrified expression that you normally see with Daphne.
Yeah, totally. And even her hair, it's not just blowing in the wind. It's almost like it's organically merging, becoming these laurel branches. Like her human form is literally, weaving itself into nature.
Szuhodovszky, the artist, he blends those classical and romantic art traditions so well. You see that idealized beauty of the human form, very Renaissance-like, but it's right there intertwined with this raw, emotional power of nature. Very much what the Romantics were all about.
And you might be thinking, well, where's Apollo in all of this? He's not there as a human figure.
Right.
But there's this brilliant detail that actually represents him, the light source. Daphne's bathed in this golden glow. And remember, what is Apollo?
The sun god.
Exactly.
It's subtle, but really effective. You acknowledge Apollo's power, but you don't overshadow Daphne's experience. He's present, that radiant light. But the focus stayed entirely on her and that transformation, not his pursuit.
And even the details that seem, almost insignificant, they're telling. Like in the foreground, there's this reed-like plant, almost hidden. It's this little nod to Peneus, Daphne's dad.
Oh, I see.
The one who ultimately made that transformation happen. So we have this artwork that's not just, visually stunning, but it makes us think about Daphne in this totally different way, about her agency, the transformation, how we even approach these ancient stories. And this whole idea of transformation being this pathway to empowerment, it becomes even more interesting when we consider a parallel in Gnostic thought. Ready? I would explore that.
Absolutely. Gnosticism is all about seeking knowledge, especially about the divine, offers a really unique perspective on power, and the nature of reality itself.
All right, so we're connecting this painting to an ancient Gnostic text. It's called the Hypostasis of the Archons. Might help to have a little context first, right?
Yeah.
Gnosticism, it's all about knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
seeking knowledge, like a special kind of knowledge, the kind that leads to, spiritual enlightenment.
Right.
And in this system of belief, they have these beings that are called archons.
Yeah, the archons, you can think of them as like the rulers of the material world, but not necessarily the good kind of ruler. No, they're flawed, limited in a way, and often they're associated with this need to control, to suppress true knowledge.
Interesting. Okay, so with that in mind, in this text, we meet this feminine figure, and she basically embodies wisdom, kind of like a Gnostic Sophia, if you will. And, well, the archons. Not pleased.
Makes sense.
Not one bit. They try to dominate her, suppress that wisdom she represents. And here's where it gets really interesting. She pulls a Daphne.
What do you mean?
She transforms, becomes a tree. And get this, the archons. They're left with nothing but a shadow, completely fooled by the transformation.
Oh, wow. That is striking. Both stories using transformation as this escape, this way of getting away from something unwanted, especially from those who just don't get it,
It's like both Daphne and this figure in the Gnostic text, they're on a whole other level, one that their pursuers can't even grasp.
Exactly. It speaks to that theme we keep coming back to, illusion versus reality.
Right.
The archons, they're blinded by their limited view, falling for the illusion. But Daphne, this wise figure, they transcend the material, become something untouchable.
And if we think back to that Szuhodovszky painting, it's like that Daphne, by choosing transformation, she's choosing a kind of enlightenment, a state of being that Apollo, even with all his, radiant power, can't touch.
It's a powerful way to look at it. And, the artist himself, he describes Daphne's transformation as her outsmarting everyone who tried to control her. It's self-preservation, an assertion of her own agency. Really powerful stuff.
So after all this, the myth, the modern art, even diving into Gnosticism, has this changed how you see Daphne's story? Has it, unveiled something new about this classic tale? We just scratched the surface of Gnosticism, but I hope it sparked your curiosity, because it's a fascinating system of belief, and it still resonates with people today, This exploration of knowledge, power, and that search for something bigger than ourselves. And just like Daphne becoming the laurel tree, maybe true strength is about embracing change, becoming something new, something beyond anyone who tries to control us, something to think about.